How's it going, guys? It's K Cars and we're back with another Jeep video today. We're actually going to be replacing the spark plugs and coil pack on my 2001 Jeep Cherokee XJ. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video and let's get right into it. So this video really only applies to the 2000 and 2001 Jeep Cherokees, and that's because the previous years actually do not have a coil pack, which is one of the things we're going to be replacing today. As you can see, the coil pack is right over here and the spark plugs are right underneath. Normally for the years before 2000, they would have a distributor which sits somewhere right around here, and your spark plugs would just be connected right over here. So it is a little bit of an easier process that way. But today, like I said, we're going to be replacing the coil pack and the 6 spark plugs. So if you guys look over on the right side of the Jeep here, there actually is a sticker that shows the exact part number and gap for each spark plug that you need. So down here, if you guys can see, it says spark plugs RC12ECC 0.035 in gap. So that's the exact spark plugs that they recommend, as well as the gap that's needed. These are all the things that you're going to need to do this. Of course, we have the 6 spark plugs right here, Champion Copper Plus, and these are the exact part number that is listed on that sticker right there. It's RC12ECC, which is the Champion Copper Plus. I know some people go with like NGK Platinum ones, but I've heard that Jeeps like to have what they're originally like made to use, so I figured I should probably just go ahead and use the ones that they recommend. And right here is the coil pack that we're going to be using. This is actually just a Mopar brand, I believe. It was like 230 bucks from Quadratech. So this should just be a direct replacement for the one that's already in there. Should increase performance a little bit. At least that's what the description said. Who knows if it actually will. But then another useful thing to have is the spark plug boot protector. I'm pretty sure this is just the same thing as dielectric grease. It just makes sure that the connection is good. So this would just go inside the boot of the coil pack. So just right inside here. So that's where your spark plugs would be connecting to. So this just ensures that the connection is better. And right here, what I have is a spark plug gap gauge. I'll show you guys how to use this when we get to that part. Right here is a 5/8 spark plug socket. This isn't necessary, but it is useful. This pretty much just has like rubber inside the actual socket, so the spark plug doesn't like fall out when you're trying to screw it in there. So it is pretty useful, but like I said, not completely necessary. And of course, you're gonna need one of these things. I already have the 13mm, which I believe that is the size of the screws that hold the coil pack in. So of course, we're going to be needing this as well. So now that I went over all the different parts that we're going to need to do this, let's go ahead and actually go through the process. So first thing we're going to need to do, as I showed you guys before, the coil pack is right here. There are a few hoses and lines that block it. So we're going to have to take these off right here. These are your throttle cables, and these are pretty easy to take off. I know last time I had a little bit of trouble actually like disconnecting the cables. Basically what you're gonna do is this cable right over here, it should just like move forward. I don't know how difficult it's gonna be, but it's kind of hard to do it while holding a camera. So I'll definitely show you guys how I do that. And then this connector right here is just on a little ball. So you kind of just have to pry that off. And like I said, same thing with this as well. Then once you disconnect the actual cables, there are 2 screws holding this little assembly on. I think it's a lot easier just to unscrew this than like threading the lines through here and taking it off that way. But do whatever you want. This is what I'm gonna do. So there's 1 screw right over here, and then the other is right down there. And then this whole throttle cable assembly will be able to come off, and we'll just lay it over here on this side so we can have access to the coil pack. And then we will also have to try to get these hoses out of the way as well. Don't want to completely disconnect them, so what I'm thinking is just taking them out of these holders right here and then just taking them out of the way as best as I can. And then that way we can get to the coil pack and actually unscrew it. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so like I said, first step is going to be to disconnect these throttle cables. And like I said, last time I did this, I had some trouble getting these things off, which I don't know why, because I think most people on YouTube that I've watched get these things off pretty easily. So we'll see how it goes. So I got this first one off, and it is a little bit easier if you like grab it through a towel. These things are pretty sharp, and it's a little bit easier to get a good grip on it. So that's kind of what I'm going to try here as well, to get this thing off. Alright, so the second one came off. Now we can go ahead and unscrew this whole throttle line assembly here. Alright, so these two screws holding on the throttle line assembly are going to be 10 millimeters. So we can go ahead and unscrew these. Alright, so now that you have these two screws out, we can go ahead and take these throttle cables and put them on the other side of the engine here. Just make sure you remove them from the holders that is on the valve cover right here. We should just be able to lay it down just like that. Just get it out of the way here. Should be good. And then, like I said, these little hoses right here, you should be able to get these out of the way as well. Because, like I said, I do not want to remove these. So yeah, hopefully that's good enough. We can just work around it like that. We can definitely access the coil pack right here. Not going to be the easiest, but we can make it work, hopefully. Alright, so we got the lines and the hoses out of the way as best as I could. And the coil pack is right here. There are 4 screws we're going to have to unscrew. They are 13 millimeter. So one's right there, right down over here. And then the other one is way back over here. So these might be a little bit difficult to unscrew just because there's a lot of stuff in the way here, but we'll see how it goes. These screws are pretty rusty, so it's kind of hard to get this little socket on them. But yeah, it seems like these first 2 screws are blocked right there by these hoses. So I'll start with the one that I can get to, which is this one back here. Alright, see how tight these things are. Not too bad. I should be able to get it just get it off my hand right now. Alright, so these things are pretty long. Like I said, you're probably going to want to keep these screws if you're replacing the coil pack, because it didn't come with new ones, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so this one back here, it's in the way of the transmission oil dipstick, so I had to kind of go in at an angle for this one, but it came out. Alright guys, so as you see, I did get all 4 screws out of the coil pack. Now, the last one right over here, the transmission dipstick is in the way of this, so you kind of just have to go in at an angle. Unless you have a shorter socket, then that'll really help for all of these pretty much. Because I had to do the same thing for these first ones over here. I just went in at an angle, as you guys saw. So if you have a shorter socket, then that'll definitely come in handy for this. So the next thing we're going to have to do is actually take the coil pack out. Now, I've heard this can be the most challenging part of this whole process. Then there also is a plug in the very back that we have to disconnect, which can also be pretty challenging. There should just be a little pin that you push down and pull it out. Kind of like the same as on the IAC, TPS, and the MAP over near the throttle body. So hopefully it isn't too bad, but yeah, we'll see. So I think the coil pack is actually off of the spark plugs right now. The tough part is going to be actually just like taking it out, because there's all these hoses in the way, and then unplugging the plug, which is back over here. So let's see how this goes. Of course, as with everything car related, just have to be patient and hope it works. Alright guys, so I'm not gonna lie, but it's probably been like a solid hour since I last talked to you guys. That's how long it took me to actually disconnect the old coil pack. So let me show you guys what I did here. So here's the actual connector that was connected to the coil pack. This little red tab has to slide over all the way, and then you'll be able to press this little black tab on the other side here on the bottom where my thumb is, then just pull it out. So I was trying to pull it out without sliding this red tab over, but I guess I'm not really sure what that does. It's like a locking system or something maybe. And I couldn't really slide this tab over at first, so I kind of put it against the valve cover here and just like slammed it down just to get like a more solid surface, because I couldn't do it with my fingers. But anyways, that's how that works. So push this red tab to the side, you see like a little indent, just pull it out, not all the way, it won't go all the way out, just pull it, and then with your thumb you want to press down this black tab and then pull it out of the coil pack, and that's how you disconnect it. That's how you get the coil pack out. So the next step after that is going to be to actually take the spark plugs out. As you can see, there are these little white things. So there's one right there, and there's 6 in total. They're all on one side because it is an inline 6. So yeah, this is what we're going to be using the spark plug socket for, which is this thing right over here. So we're going to be using this spark plug socket right here. Now I'm probably going to have to be using this extension as well, just to reach down in there and actually be able to reach them. What I think I'm going to do is just do one at a time. So I'm going to take one spark plug out and then put a new one back in, so there's no like open holes, I guess, so nothing falls in there accidentally. So that's what we're going to do right now. Alright, so I'm going to start with this one that's more easily accessible. I did find that it is a little bit easier to just put the socket on it first and put this thing on, so it's just easier to seat it on that way. So we'll go ahead and take this spark plug out first, since it's the easiest. Alright, so we got this one out, and that's the advantage of having a spark plug socket, is that it'll just stay right in there because of that little like rubber stuff inside of it. So that's one spark plug. Now I'm going to go ahead and replace it with a brand new one. Just for comparison, here is a old versus new. As you can see, it's not too terrible, but you can definitely tell that it has been used. So hopefully this will be a good upgrade. Alright, so now I'm going to show you guys how to gap a spark plug. So as you can see, this is a spark plug gap gauge. And as I told you guys in the beginning, these spark plugs need to be gapped to 0.05. So on this little gauge here you can see 0.2, 0.3, 0.4. So these need to be right in the middle, and the actual gap is the distance between like the top right over here. As you can see, there's a little bit of a gap right there. So what you do is, some spark plugs come pre-gapped. I believe this one is pre-gapped because you can see it is right at 0.035, so this one is good. If they are not properly gapped, like if there's too big of a gap for example, you can take the spark plug and tap it against something hard and it'll close that gap. If the gap is too small, then you can take your gap tool and kind of like pry it open. I'm not going to do that because, like I said, this one is already at 0.35, which is exactly what we need. So now I'm going to go ahead and put this new spark plug back in. Alright, so once again, you can just go ahead and put the spark plug inside the spark plug socket, and it shouldn't fall out just like that because there is a little rubber piece holding it in. So now we just have to line it up right there. Actually, I'm going to see if I can just get this thing started by hand. It might be easier. Alright, I think I got it. Now we can finish it with this. Alright. And it's also a good idea to make sure. There we go. And you don't have to make these too extremely tight. I guess just try to like match what it was whenever you took it off. That should be good, don't want to overdo it. So there's one of them is in. Now we're going to repeat this same process for all the rest of them. Alrighty guys, so a little bit of an update here. I did get the new plugs in there. It actually wasn't too difficult. But as you can see, I did get all 6 of those in there. And just to show you guys what the old ones look like, you can see they are a lot dirtier. And I actually did check the gap on these. It was about 0.06, so definitely not what they're supposed to be. So hopefully these new ones will improve performance a little bit. And yep, now we can move on to putting the actual coil pack on. So as you guys saw in the beginning, we do have this brand new coil pack to put on. And what I'm going to do is just put this dielectric grease inside each of the boots to kind of give it a little bit of a better seal, as well as a better connection. So yep, let's do this. Then I'm going to go ahead and try my best to put this coil pack inside, which probably won't be too easy, but we'll see how it goes. It definitely should be easier to plug it in rather than unplugging it. So yep, we'll see. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and install this brand new coil pack. Then obviously you want to make sure that the side with the connector is towards right over there where the actual connector is. So that's pretty much the only thing you need to make sure of, as well as obviously the spark plugs need to go in each of these boots and just make sure they're seated properly. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully this part isn't too bad. Alright guys, so I got the coil pack seated on here. It's still pretty wiggly, but I'm hoping that's how it's supposed to be. I just have to screw in the screws. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so now that we have the coil pack all screwed on tight, we can go ahead and put all the hoses and lines back into their positions. So these 2 hoses are just right down here, just like that. Take the throttle cables back over here. Put them in there. And then once you have the throttle cable assembly screwed in, we can actually connect these lines back on. Just the opposite of how you took them off. Alright, and we're all done. Alrighty guys, so that's all there is to it. As you guys saw, we just replaced the spark plugs in the coil pack on my 2001 Jeep Cherokee XJ. I'd say the hardest part of this whole thing was actually just disconnecting that connector from the back of the coil pack. But other than that, it wasn't too terribly bad. One thing you have to make sure of is that all of the boots on the coil pack actually seat on all of the spark plugs. That's really important. As you guys probably saw in the video, I checked that 5 times. I even took the coil pack off because I was so OCD about making sure that they all went on. So I wanted to make sure I took it all the way off, then put it all the way back on just to double check everything. And also just to make sure that the connector was fully connected. So hopefully this thing will start up and run good. Hopefully I didn't do anything wrong. But if I did, I will update the video. But yeah, hopefully it's all good. So an update on the lift kit wheels and tires for this thing. I did contact Rusty's Off-Road to see when they would get that lift back in stock, because it has been out of stock for the past few months now. Said they should restock in about a couple weeks. So hopefully we'll be able to lift this thing soon. I'm definitely looking forward to it. I definitely want to get it lifted and also get wheels and tires and also get this thing undercoated and get all the rust fixed before this winter. So that's definitely high up on my priority list for some projects that I'm doing. Also with the Challenger, I know in one of my previous videos where I talked about like the 3 options for mods that I wanted to do, pretty much everyone commented just get a cam package for the Challenger, and I completely understand where you guys are coming from. That definitely would be the most exciting mod for my vehicles, but it's also really expensive. Like a cam package would be twice as much as wheels, tires, and a lift kit for the Jeep. Also twice as much as wheels and tires for the Challenger. So main reason why I'm choosing to stick with the lift, wheels, and tires for the Jeep is simply because the price, number one, like I just said, cam would be twice as expensive. Then also the Jeep is completely stock other than like LED lights and some little stuff here and there, but I still consider this Jeep completely stock, literally nothing done to it to like enhance performance or anything like that. The Challenger already has headers, catalyst mid pipes, dyno tune, mid muffler delete, so it's not stock, and the Jeep is. So I kind of wanted to get started modding the Jeep while the Challenger already has a few mods on it, just to, you know, give me some more things to do with the Jeep before winter. And also in winter, we're definitely going to be taking this thing out to a few mountains, just seeing how it does in the snow, of course. So I'm really looking forward to that. I really love this Jeep. It taught me a lot of like mechanical skills, I guess. I used to never work on my own vehicles before I got this Jeep, other than like oil changes and stuff like that. I was always too afraid to actually do stuff to the Challenger, but you know, with a 20-year-old Jeep, they're a lot easier to work on. And if I do make a mistake, it's not that huge of a deal. So yep, definitely looking forward to that. And also something about the Challenger is that, I don't know how well you guys can see here, but it does have really bad water spots, and it's probably not really showing up on camera. I don't know if maybe I can go back here and you guys can see a little bit better. Yeah, maybe a little bit right there. But anyways, you guys just have to trust me. The water spots on this thing are terrible. As you can see, they're on the shaker. Yeah, you can definitely see that a lot better on the shaker. But anyways, I just got a whole box of Adams Polishes stuff here. So definitely going to be busy, and I'm actually going to be ceramic coating the Challenger with their new graphene ceramic coating. This stuff's supposed to last 7 years. So yeah, it's gonna be a long process to actually like prep this thing, get all the water spots off, and just get it ready for a ceramic coating. But I'm planning on making a video going through the whole process. It's probably gonna take me like 2 days or like 1 full day maybe if I start in the morning. But yeah, definitely gonna be filming the whole process on that. So definitely look out for that video. And if you guys have any questions about anything I did in this video, drop those down in the comments. And if you guys have any questions about anything else, drop those down in the comments. If you have any video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, also leave those down in the comments. And if you guys like this video or found it entertaining or informative, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.